Welcome to my workshop. It is quite a mess, as you can plainly see. And for the beginning of 2018, I want to go through all of this stuff and get it organized. Get rid of blasters that I never plan to use or work with. Clean up all the boxes that are underneath these tables. Replace this table right here because it is bending under the weight of this bandsaw. Get things organized and maybe even show you some projects that I have not touched in a while or maybe plan to never actually finish. There's one right here that will definitely be beginning to. Will this be interesting? I don't know, but let's get this place cleaned up and better looking for the future. Stage one of the cleaning process is to open up and clean the main floor area. This is where I work. This is where I just put things. So I'm gonna put all the tools that I find on the workbench, any blasters or parts that I find into the containers or the shelving area, and just open it up and clean it. That way I have room to bring the containers out from the corner and sort through the blasters without having to do a bunch of moving stuff around in order for things to fit. Stop number one on the project tour is this Zeus, and this Zeus I have not touched in a while, but the goal for this Zeus was to make it as ergonomically comfortable for me as possible, thus the big epoxy butt, as some people have called it. But the epoxy butt is perfectly suited for my hands with the curve. The thumb rest is in an area where my thumb would be, and on this side we have a mound of epoxy with finger guides for my fingers based on how I was holding it. And this has all been sand and stuff, but this side I still need to get sand softened and contoured better into the epoxy butt. Has mag stops from Custom 3D Nerf on this side, and this hole is for a fan because I want to put motor braking into this blaster, and that heats up motors, so a fan will keep them nice and cool. This was almost going to be done, and then I started doing this part. But yeah, I want to send this out to someone in particular who I think would make this look really awesome. And even though the Zeus is kind of taken a back seat, it's a bit obsolete now, I still like it. It's a fun little blaster, and I think it'll be very cool when this is done, whenever I do get it done. But that is project stop number one, a Zeus. Other than some stuff up on the rack on my wall and down over here, these are all the blasters that I need to sort through in order to figure out what I want to keep, what I want to sell, and what I want to donate. I'm trying to get it down to just these two containers. Maybe have this container over here as something to hold some projects that I want to put off to the side. But I want to get down to just those because I don't think I'm going to need anything more than 2 containers worth of things that I want to keep, and that will help me get rid of some clutter and make some money for upcoming trips like End War. So everything has been sorted into some loose piles. We have some new unboxed stuff over there that I'm just going to donate to Goodwill because I have no use for it and I don't really know if anyone else that I know would want it. In this bin we have things that I know I'm going to use for projects such as strifes and rapid strikes, as well as blasters that I just want to keep, like the Mastodon, because I don't know what I would use this for other than just modifying it by itself, but I know I want to keep it for maybe something in the future. Maybe I'll come up with something. And then in the middle here, we have stuff that I've started building or that were projects. So we have a full auto Zeus that has some parts missing. There's a long shot that I'm gonna just take apart and probably scrap. We have an EAT that has upgraded internals that I was going to paint originally, but the paint really messed up. And then we have a pile over there of just things that I want to sell. And lastly, I have some stuff that I'm going to send off to Mr. Nathan because there are some really cool shells and I don't really have a use for them, but I'm sure Mr. Nathan can find a way to make these into gorgeous integrated blasters because that's just what he does. So it's a shot blast, the Rapid Madness from my review, and a Rattler, which I originally wanted to integrate a Strife into, but the Strife is just doesn't line up well enough with it, but this would make a really cool, like, if you like the Raven, this shell, I think, would be really, really nice for someone who likes the Raven. Very close. I'm sure Mr. Nathan can find a way to put a strife or something better in there, or just integrate it well. So those are all going off to Mr. Nathan. Now I'm gonna get everything completely sorted out. I'm gonna take those to Goodwill, get all the stuff I wanna sell into a box, take pictures of it to sell them, and get all this stuff put up back over here before I go over onto this side of the room and start working on the boxes underneath the workbench, replacing this table, and getting all my tools and stuff organized. So yeah, let's go do that. Little project break number 2, going over some polycarbonate pieces I had Nam make me a while back, starting with this. This is a slam fire catch piece made out of polycarbonate that you kind of slot into where the catch is, and it keeps it depressed so you can slam fire your rough cut. This was made because there was a 3D printed piece like this. I think it was made by Dorm Labs, but it was not very strong, so I had to make a polycarbonate piece for me for a project that I'll go over in just a little bit. So I have like 4 of those. And then this is a piece for a triad. You put this piece between the plunger tube cap, and it allows you to just put it onto your belt. I don't have a triad to show it off, but it's a cool little piece. My only complaint with it is that this part right here doesn't really stay in your belt too well, so it needs to have like a little bit of a curve or something on the bottom. But a couple of pieces that I need to find uses for, put them into little projects, but they're pretty cool, and I thought I'd show them off. So that's project break number 2. This is project number 3, Project Hathi. So back in the day, I made a build called Fenrir, which was a Stampede with 2 swarm fires put onto it, where the swarm fires could be taken off because it was attached with like U-bolts. Really cringy looking build, but back in the day, it was something special. This is Project Hathi, where Fenrir is the wolf of the apocalypse. Hathi is one of the sons of Fenrir because it has a main blaster with 2 of something on the front, just like Fenrir. And this was going to be one of the uses for those polycarbonate rough cut slam fire pieces, because I've chopped the rough cut down. And then they would both be primed at the same time using this Praxis grip with the pieces put on. And you just do that. I shortened down the rapid strike a bit too short back when I was doing this, so I built up a bunch of epoxy putty around a BSUK stock mounting backplate piece for their rapid strike pistol kit. Other than that, I think one of the more interesting things, or at least unique things about this build was, so rough cuts open up on the left side where the stock screw ports are. I put lock nuts on that side so you can open this part from the right, so you don't have to disassemble the entire project in order to get to it. I have no idea if I'll ever get back to this, but I'm not going to throw this away because a lot of work and time has gone into it. This was around the time I started being really picky about how clean my epoxy work was. I think the big problem I was having was I wanted to know if the rough cut internals were going to prime well, because the rough cuts are just slightly off from one another, and I didn't know if that was going to be a mess, and I didn't have rough cuts back then, so I might have to get some, plop the internals in there, screw it all up, and see if it actually primes. But for now, it's going to go find a place in like a project bin, but yeah, I'm not going to throw that away because lots of time has gone into that. But this is one of the more interesting projects that I have, and it would be cool to finish up and give it a sweet paint job. I think the paint job was going to be gray-based because Hathi is the wolf that chases the moon through the sky. I think that's what it was. So there's going to be like this gray, black, and white kind of build to represent like a moon, you know. So yeah, Project Hathi. The last few projects come from the container that was over in the corner, and we're going to start off with the one that was on top. This is an old attempt at a full auto Raven. So I have the long shot stock on the back to house the rapid strike motor, and on the front I decided to cut down where the little muzzle piece is because I thought it looked kind of weird and I really like that flat look. And so if we open this up, I can kind of show you the whole process with this. But it's basically a rapid strike pusher box, which is really dirty now from just trying to fit this over and over and over again. And it has a little micro switch that's been polycarbed to the pusher. And what I was doing was I was laying down epoxy putty over here and trying to mold this into place something like that, so that the pusher arm gets about halfway through the magazine and can push the darts out. The problem is the 2 times I did it, it was just always off and didn't want to close all the way. So this is pretty much an obsolete sort of build, but I would like to finish it one day. I think I have the idea down. I just need to get the epoxy putty done right, and I think I've done a pretty good job on the epoxy so far outside the shell, except for that little bit. Carved that out, and then the battery was gonna fit up into here. I was gonna have a little piece that slides over that, and then I guess latches into place. So that's a full auto Raven build that I was working on a long time ago. Let's check out what's inside the container, and there's a few projects in here. So the first one inside the container worth going over is this. It's a, I guess a start of a rapid strike pistol using the BSUK rapid strike pistol kit. I don't know why I stopped this. I guess I had other projects I want to go on to, but I have come back to this in a way with an entirely different project that takes kind of the same concept, but really amps it up. It's being painted by someone right now, and I should have it sometime in the near future, so definitely look for a video going over that. But I should really do something with this because I have all the parts for it. It really wouldn't be too much work to finish it up and get it looking good, so I'm gonna come back to that one day. And this last one might look a little familiar because it was going to be the base of Pwn Saw, but I decided to not use it because it's really janky looking. But this blaster was going to be a build that housed a speaker system circuit in the back, along with a light organ that would pulsate to the music, and have these big speakers coming off the side, cut this at like a 45-degree angle and face them forward like that. I don't really know how to show you it, but cut that at an angle and plaster them on the sides facing forward, put a nice grill on that, and have this light show blasting just build. I stopped doing this one because I had someone make a light organ for me, but they still haven't sent it after a few years for various reasons. So I'd love to get back to work on this. I don't know if I'm going to keep this shell because this is really not that great. You can see some polycarb that I put right there to kind of space the shell a bit better to straighten it out. And yeah, I was just gonna cut it at an angle, plaster those on, put some like LED strips all over the blaster, and then have like the bass, the mid, and the trebles just like going off to the music and make it like a seizurific light show with sound. So yeah, this was an awesome project. I completely forgot about this. So here it is. This is where I've wanted my workshop to be for quite some time. I've cleaned it up before in the past, but never to this point. I think it's really gonna help. Obviously, there's some stuff that still needs to be put up to their final places, like these flywheel cages, that Centurion shell. This Centurion needs to be gutted. And I think I wanna rent like one of those Rug Doctor carpet cleaners one of these days coming up soon, and really go to town on the carpet where I usually do my work to get the rest of the dust and the dirt out of it. I have stuff written on the whiteboard over there with videos that I need to do. I'm gonna try and get into some better habits of putting tools up when I'm done with them for the day, throwing away plastic bits that accumulate when I'm working, when I'm done working for the day, stuff like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video montage cleaning and bringing out some projects I haven't seen in a long time. I highly recommend all of you go and clean your workshops because it feels really good when you're done with it. But I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, have a great day wherever you are.